I want to go ahead and I want to get to the first part of my stream tonight. And it's very exciting, chat, because as you guys know, I am a huge fan of Batman the Animated Series. It is, one of my favorite, not just one of my favorite like animated shows of all time. It's definitely like one of my just favorite shows in general. It is probably my favorite adaptation of the Batman character and many of his other supporting characters and his pantheon of villains, chat. It's just Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and all the people that worked on that show, I thought did such a fantastic job. And Batman the Series, chat, this is not only a celebration of Batman, but also of the DCAU. I mean, it all started with Batman series, and then after Batman, we got Superman and Batman Beyond and Static Shock and Justice League Unlimited. I mean, this show gave us so many wonderful shows and great adaptations of DC characters and stories and storylines. And so, yeah, but it all started with Batman, so we got to pay our respect, chat. So I picked my top 10 favorite episodes. And again, when I say my top 10, it's like, oh, the rest of them are bad. Like, no. Like, I could easily pick out probably like 40 episodes or like, these are amazing. These are great. And it was really hard to pick out like my top 10. But I had to, and who knows, chat, like by tomorrow, I might change my opinion. I'd be like, yeah, I said, this was, my number 10 or my number 7 or whatever, but I still gotta, I would, I might change just because I love these episodes, so much, the series so much. But we'll go ahead, chat. We'll go ahead and we'll start with number 10. And number 10, which is oftentimes this might be kind of forgotten occasionally, chat, because it doesn't feature a well-known Batman rogue, but it's still one that I think is pretty cool and has a very sad ending. And that is Baby Doll, chat. Now, for those that don't know, the whole premise of this episode, it deals with this child star who was on this very popular sitcom, chat, like 20 years ago. The problem is she has this glandular disorder which keeps her looking like she's a 5-year-old, chat. It's pretty much like the orphan movies. She was never able to grow up. Like her mind grew up, chat, but instead of having the body of a 25-year-old, she's still in the body of a 5-year-old despite having the mind of a 25-year-old or someone who's even much older. And this causes a buildup of resentment and anger, and she wants to relive the best years of her life, which was on this sitcom. So she ends up kidnapping all the original stars which were on that show and trying to recreate that. And Batman's like, you got to settle yourself down. And he has to come in there and stop her. And yes, she clearly has gone off the deep end. She's insane. But there's this great image at the end of the episode and where it takes place, I think eventually it goes into a fun house. And she's like trying to find Batman. She's shooting at all these mirrors, and all these mirrors are kind of showing, like different versions of herself. And this last mirror is what she would have looked like if she had aged normally, if she had aged up to be a 25-year-old. And she just breaks down. And Batman, like, eventually has to comfort her, takes her to Arkham. There's no doubt. It's like, shut up, you're going to jail. I mean, he does do that, but he comforts her in that moment. It kind of shows the warmth and the understanding that can come from Batman. It's like, yes, he's often portrayed as a very cold and hard character, certainly in the animated series. There's no doubt about that. But I really like that last moment. But it's also just like a really interesting concept. It's like, oh, this is cool. And so I love that. It's kind of like one of the more forgotten episodes. It doesn't have one of the main typical Batman villains that we're used to seeing, Chad. But Baby Doll, excellent one, Chad, and with a very tragic, memorable ending, in my opinion. And then let's move on to one that I feel like a lot of people know, and that's my number 9, Chad, and that's, The Laughing Fish, which is an adaptation of one of the storylines from the comics where the Joker, in one of his more ridiculous schemes, puts this type of toxin into Gotham Bay and causes the fish to all have this weird, demented rictus grin. It changes their kind of physiology where they have white scales and green fins. And he's like, well, I want to copyright this so I can make, tens of millions of dollars. And everyone's like, we can't actually copyright fish. It's a natural resource. And the thing about this is it's so goofy, except he starts targeting like everyone at the copyright office, anyone that would be involved in preventing him from making money off of this thing. And, it's implied that he either like horrifically, he will either kills these people or he, releases these toxins and things that make them go insane. And so they're always trying to figure out like who he's going after next. And then like Harvey Bullock gets involved and he ends up getting kidnapped. Then Batman has to, go in and save him. They have to work together to stop the Joker. And, he's taken over Gotham Aquarium, which apparently still has all the fish in it. It's an abandoned Gotham Aquarium, but it has all the fish, sure. But no, this episode is so much fun. And again, it's Mark Hamill doing his thing, and Mark Hamill, to me, he's my personal favorite Joker. In this episode, again, it displays both the fun side of the character and the menace, which I think is really, really cool. So yeah, I want a great Joker episode, chat. And then moving on from that, we get another one which I think is definitely beloved, but features an underrated character, and that is Perchance to Dream, which is one that is focused on the Mad Hatter. But you don't know that for most of the episode, chat. But it's the second appearance of the Mad Hatter animated series, where in this one, Batman, he's chasing after these thugs, and then for whatever reason, he goes into this warehouse, and this apparatus gets placed on him, but he wakes up, and he's living in this idyllic lifestyle. This idyllic life where his parents never died. Martha and Thomas Wayne are still alive. He's no longer Batman. Someone else is Batman. He's engaged to Selena Kyle. They're about to get married. And he's like, this is perfect. This is what I've always wanted. But there's something off. And there's all these like little clues and that he discovers that are making him realize, okay, this isn't real. And people are saying, no, it is real, Bruce. You're just, they think that he's going insane, or he's constantly questioning himself. But, he doesn't know until later on that this is all manipulation. This is all a fantasy created and concocted by the Mad Hatter. And he has to escape one of his illusions, chat. All the Mad Hatter episodes, in my opinion, the animated series are fantastic and I think are underrated. And this is one of the best ones. Like the original Mad Hatter, which I even consider putting on my top 10. Which is very creepy. He's very much the incel of the Batman animated series universe, where he wants to control this girl because he's in love with her, and he wants to basically push everyone out of her life and take control of them via his mind control technology, his microchips and things. But this one, he just wants Batman out of his life so then he could start controlling other people that he desires. But really good episode, chat. Some real trippy stuff and imagery, and also it made me realize like, oh shit, apparently we can't read in our dreams. I guess what we discovered, this episode was the one that made me discover like, oh shit. Anytime we attempt to read something in a dream, it's all squiggles and mumbo jumbo and gobbledygook. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Batman animated series taught me something, chat. Yeah, just a great episode and a great showcasing of the Mad Hatter and how menacing he could be. Moving on from that, we get to, again, another, this one's more of a, while this last one was more serious, this is definitely a more comedic one, chat, and that is The Man Who Killed Batman. And what's so funny about this particular episode, and another one which I'm about to talk about, is like Batman, he's not really the central character in this. We're focusing on this character, this would-be gangster named Sid the Squid, who is, all the other mobsters are like, yeah, okay, all right, Sid, you can join us. He's like the one they don't want in on all the capers because he always messes something up. He's kind of incompetent. He means well, Chad. He means well, but he's always screwing something up. Well, in any case, while he's with a group of mobsters trying to do this scam, this scheme, he ends up seemingly accidentally killing Batman. And he's like, oh my God, I did. And all these various mobsters and thugs and villains, they worship him. But then other villains are like, well, what the fuck is this all about? If you're as tough as you say you are, then fucking fight me. And they all want to go to war with him. And then he's caught in a horrible situation where he's like, I don't know how to deal with this. He's now famous, but he's also infamous. And there's like a fantastic sequence where eventually he's kidnapped by Harley Quinn and the Joker, who are, Joker being very, very upset about the death of Batman. He can't believe that he's actually dead. He attempts to like commit crimes, but Batman doesn't show up. He's like, oh my God, he's actually dead. And he does this kind of like mock funeral service for Batman. It has I think Mark Hamill said it's one of his favorite Joker lines ever. Without Batman, crime has no punchline. It's true. Joker lives to commit crimes with Batman. And when Batman's not there, then there's no point to it. It's not interesting. It's not fun for him. And, he ends up locking poor Sid the Squid into a coffin and puts him into a vat of acid while Harley Quinn plays the kazoo. Hilarious. Now, of course, Batman is actually alive. It was this whole, charade in order to stop all these other criminals so they would reveal themselves. And so, Rupert Thorne, Joker, and things. So, excellent episode, chat. Wonderful voice cast for that one. And another one that really, it's not solely focused on Batman's, but it's mostly focused on his villains. And it's another iconic episode, and that is Almost Got Him, where you have all these villains. You have the Joker, Two-Face, Penguin, Poison Ivy, Killer Croc, and they're all commiserating over a game of poker, talking about how they almost got Batman, how they almost killed him, and you have some more serious stories. And you have some more comedic ones like Killer Croc's like, I had a rock and I threw it at him. And, well, I almost got him. It's like, okay, sure. But Poison Ivy tried to use exploding pumpkins. Two-Face tried to kill him with the giant penny, which he later puts in the Batcave. Penguin tried to kill him with bird-themed things, as he often does. And Joker, he does this whole thing where I almost got him. But I have him tonight. I actually capture him, and we're about to turn him into cat food. It'll be hilarious. And they're like, oh, my God. Also features Catwoman as well. Wonderful episode. I feel like for a lot of people, this might be their number one. And for a while, it's like this was my number one, but there were several other ones that I'm like, oh, I just really like how they did that, or it was a little more serious and just really dark, or had this twist in it. But Almost Got Him is really, really, it was a really big rock, yeah. And yes, Killer Croc, and it was, really, well, again, what's so cool about the series too, is that it kind of showcases Batman's other abilities other than like punching mentally ill and poor people. Like, it shows that he is, yes, a detective. Like, he's very much a detective first. Like, the first episode, Batman on Leather Wings, he's like investigating things. He's trying to solve this mystery of this man-bat creature, right? It's like, oh wow, using all this different technology and cross-referencing things and doing research. Like, it's really cool going to different people trying to solve this thing. But the series also showcases that he's a master of disguise, and he pretends to be all these different people. And this is one of those episodes where he pretends to be like a villain, in this case Killer Croc, ingratiating himself to the other villains and then busting them along with the GCPD. A lot of people in this episode too. A lot of people, along with Catwoman and Commissioner Gordon, Harvey Bullock, and Renee Montoya. So here's a great one. I love the episodes. There's so many great ones, Chad, where all the villains get together, and I love just the back and forth. Like, even at one point, Joker is talking to Two-Face, and Two-Face is getting mad. He's like, get on my face. And Joker's like, which one? And Two-Face is like, oh! But he's like, oh, it's brilliant. It's so goddamn good. But yeah, Almost Got Him, chat. Number 6 for me. And after number 6, now this one I feel like is super underrated. Not a lot of people talk about this one, but I absolutely love it. And that is See No Evil. And it's pretty much Batman versus the Invisible Man. So Batman main series, they did have they created a lot of new villains for the show. Harley Quinn probably being the most famous of them, chat. And she's since proliferated, and she's been around for, 30 years at this point. Eventually being incorporated in the comics, and she's getting various animated adaptations and live-action adaptations, chat, most recently like the Margot Robbie films. But one that I feel like is underrated is See No Evil. And I can kind of see why, because it's definitely one of the darker ones. It's very, very creepy. The whole concept is you have this man who is very estranged from his wife and his daughter because he was a criminal and he went to jail, and he ended up finding this technology that makes him invisible. And since he can't get close to his daughter, he pretends to be her imaginary friend, and he like brings her things. And there's just so many great scenes in this episode where you have this little girl, funny enough, voiced by a very young Elizabeth Moss, who would then go on to star in 2020's The Invisible Man. That's kind of crazy. And like those interactions, and it seems like, kind of so wholesome. He's like, I brought you something, honey. She's like, I love it. But it's like, it's so creepy. And the mother just thinking like it's innocent, and then at the same time dealing with like Batman, funny enough, is not really in the episode too much. He's in somewhat, but it really is focused on the husband and the wife and the daughter. And then Batman eventually comes in, certainly in the last third. But then it's Batman trying to figure out where the guy tries to steal all these things, giving more presents to the daughter, wanting to buy more things to try to win her trust. Batman's like, what the fuck is this? And he has to investigate into this invisibility material. And it's really cool. I mean, one of the image I have right behind me is this iconic moment where he tells his daughter to go to this abandoned drive, and Batman's like, get the fuck out of here, kid. It's so cool. It's so cool. But again, another really underrated. I would have loved to see this character kind of like be a reoccurring villain. But hey, as a one-off, it was fun. It was very much Invisible Man. It was very much Dr. Jack Griffin. He becomes so obsessed. For whatever reason, that's the Invisible Man formula. It just does that to you. It makes you so obsessed over things, either to retain the invisibility or you obsess over a specific individual. In this case, it was this man's daughter. So yeah, great. I highly recommend this one, chat. Moving on to this one. Now this one, of course, this is everyone's like, yeah, of course. This is top 5, if not number 1. And that is Heart of Ice, chat. Batman Animated Series reinvented Mr. Freeze. Like the whole idea of Mr. Freeze being this tragic villain who is trying to do this research to save his wife from this horrible disease that there was no cure for, that came from Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and all these people. That wasn't in the comics. Mr. Freeze beforehand, he was a guy with an ice gun. That's what he is. That's all he was. And they really developed him into the tragic character that he became later on in later adaptations and in the comics. It's so crazy that there are so few episodes in Batman series that feature Mr. Freeze. In the original first 2 seasons of the show, which is about I want to say it's like 85 episodes. I want to say it's about 85 episodes. He only shows up twice. Heart of Ice in the first season, and then in Meltdown in season 2, where it's revealed that his wife is still alive. And then he shows up again. Well, then they do the Sub-Zero movie, which the reason why they did that, because they loved this character so much they wanted to feature. And I like Sub-Zero. I don't care what anyone says. And then they brought him back in the 3rd season, where he became even more less human. He became like a fucking head in a jar. And then again in Batman Beyond. Like, you can watch all the Mr. Freeze episodes and the Batman Sub-Zero movie and be, I feel like, very satisfied. But I'll start with this one, chat. But like the reason why he's doing this, he's seeking revenge because he seemingly thinks that this evil corporate executive stopped his experiments and basically murdered his wife. What's his name? Francis Boyle, I want to say his name is. Funny enough, voiced by Mark Hamill before he voiced the Joker. He was supposed to just a one-off guest role. But then he famously asked, "Hey, you got any more characters I could voice?" And like, yeah, Tim Curry didn't work out the Joker, and they called him back to voice the character. But it also shows that so many of Batman's villains, they do have tragic. The reason why they are the way they are is because of tragic circumstances. They see themselves as victims, and I think Mr. Freeze is he is the poster child of that. And even like how this ends, where it's him in his cell looking at that kind of that snow globe with the spinning like ballerina, and that's how like his wife. And him just, reminiscing about that and how he tried. And Batman just overlooking going, shit. It's beautiful, beautiful and tragic. So Heart of Ice, always going to be featured in my top 10, if not top 5. And then after that shit, it's funny. Like I realized like the next 3 are all come from the 3rd season. But after that, I have to pick Over the Edge, where now this is more of a what if episode in which Barbara Gordon is sprayed, who is now Batgirl. In the series at this point, she's sprayed by fear toxin by Scarecrow. I love the Scarecrow design in the 3rd season. So fucking creepy with the noose around his neck, voiced by Jeffrey Combs in this. She's sprayed with fear toxin, but seemingly she's killed, and she falls off this building, fucking dies. Jim Gordon goes over to the body of Batgirl, finds out that it is Barbara, and he blames Batman and and everyone else for the death of his daughter because he wasn't honest with them. And so he wages this one-man war, not one-man war, but this war against Batman along with the GCPD trying to stop him. And, eventually it culminates in like Gordon eventually working with Bane to stop Batman. Dick Grayson as Nightwing gets arrested and exposed. It's revealed that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Like all this happens. And we later find out that it was a hallucination brought on by the fear toxin with that Barbara had, right? And she was exposed to it. And she goes to tell it seemingly indicates she goes to her father to tell him that she is Batgirl. But what this episode highlights is how all of this, the whole Batman family, it is constantly teetering literally over the edge. This can fall apart so easily, Chad. And also indicates that Batman should not be a father. this or a father figure, having these wards and, having them fight crime with him, because all this could go wrong so quickly and lead to their, deaths or disfigurement or something else, which eventually does in the DCAU version of Batman. A lot of Batman's, would-be sons and daughters face horrible consequences because of what he had them do. And this one is kind of like the start of that, showcasing how this could all just fall apart so easily, because Batman and Bruce Wayne, so often, especially in the animated series, he's very dishonest. Especially in the third season, he's very dishonest. And it falls apart. And it eventually does fall apart by the time we get to Batman Beyond. But a great episode. And then moving on from that, this one I think is definitely not talked about a lot. And that is the season 3 episode featuring Clayface, which is called Growing Pains. And I love all the Clayface episodes. The animated series are great. Both Feet of Clay Part 1 and Part 2 in the original first season, and also Mudslide in season 2. Now, the reason why they didn't use Clayface a lot in the series is because he was so expensive to animate, just how he transformed and how his body moved around. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. I think it was done by the Japanese studios, because some of these episodes were done by Japanese teams, and it was great. But it was that was a damn shame. But they wanted to bring him back for season 3, and they did. I mean, one of the most disturbing episodes in the series, where this takes place after the events of Mudslide, which is years later, where Clayface seemingly died after that, where his body dissipated into Gotham Bay. And now we have, Tim Drake as the new Robin, and he's patrolling, and he finds this girl, this who's his age, who's being harassed. And she's being stalked by this individual we find out later is Clayface. And throughout this episode, Tim falls in love with this girl, and she falls in love with him. And it's really sweet, and it's kind of a survival story too. But then you find out later on, bringing the body horror, that this little girl is not actually a little girl. She is a part of Clayface that got separated after the events of Mudslide and formed herself into this being. It was like it's an aspect of his personality, formed itself into its own being with its own thoughts and beliefs. And she's been trying to survive this entire time. And Clayface wants her back, so he could be fully formed and have all of his power. And I mean, the episode ends tragically, chat. It ends tragically. And it's the one. This is also one of the episodes I feel like where there was a big divide between Bruce and Tim, because Batman's in this episode, but he's not the focus. It's mostly Tim. It wraps up where, in order to save Tim Drake, she basically reabsorbs back into Clayface. And Tim stops him, of course, and he's arrested. But Tim is emotionally distraught over this because he loved her. I forget if it's Jim Gordon or one of the police, or Harvey Bullock or Renee Montoya, and they go up to Batman and Tim Drake or Robin, and they ask him, so we can charge Clayface for robberies and things, but is there anything else that you think we can charge him with? And one of the last lines of the episode is Tim Drake just looking at the face of the officer and going, "Murder. You can charge him with murder." And he just walks away. And Batman he can't say anything. He's like, fuck. And I think even before that scene, Batman, because Tim is very upset about this, because he wants her back, but he can't have her. And Batman goes to Tim and he says, "Tim, not every ending can end happily. I know." But Tim doesn't say anything to him. And then that scene plays out where, he's a murderer, and he walks away. Beautiful, beautiful. And not an episode I think a lot of people talk about, in my opinion. And then the last one, chat, and I was thinking, is this my number one? But I'm like, I think it is. I think it is. And it's funny enough, it's the finale, really, of Batman Animated Series. It's a weird one to end on, too, because it's very dark. It's a very dark finale. Although, in hindsight, the DCAU does end quite... it does end very dark, chat. And that is Mad Love. That's Mad Love, where we really find out what the origin of Harley Quinn is and her relationship with the Joker. The episode originally it starts off with Joker and Harley kidnapping James Gordon, basically trying to torture him with dentist devices and things. Eventually saved by Batman, and Joker's upset about the scheme not working. And Harley's trying to, appease him. And he's like, I don't have any time for you. I never have any time for you. Get away from me. I'm all about Batman. I got to come up with my greatest scheme yet to capture the Dark Knight. And he throws her out in the street. And then it starts like Harley Quinn's like, well, in order to appease my pudding, in order to show that I love him so much, I'm going to capture Batman. And, as she's doing that, we also see like the history when she was Dr. Harleen Quinzel, when she was a psychiatrist. And she worked at Arkham Asylum, and one of her first patients was the Joker, and it shows how he manipulated her for, weeks, months, years, until eventually in her mind, she falls in love with him. And then, how she eventually leaves her job and she takes on the Harley Quinn persona and breaks him out of Arkham. And, the rest is history. The episode then later plays out. And there's a famous scene in it, too, where because she starts to care about him and she believes the Joker is a victim of abuse and Batman is the abuser in this relationship. But there's this great scene in it where the Joker's talking about his childhood and how his father would beat him constantly. But there was this one time where his father took him to the circus. And it was the only time Joker ever said he saw his father laugh, when the clowns dropped their pants and they're falling over and things. And then he said, then the next day, when my father he was feeling down, I did the same thing. I dropped my pants and said, look at me, Dad. And then he broke my nose. And then you look in that episode, that's when she falls in love with him truly. And then later on, the episode plays out. She captures Batman, does everything. She changes some of the Joker's plans to make it more effective. She tells the Joker what's going on. He arrives, and he's fucking furious because it has to be him because he's so narcissistic, so fucking vain. He can't help himself. And she doesn't understand why. And, he's like, eventually, the thing is, he also beats her. He also beats her a lot in the animated series. And eventually it ends up happening where he knocks her out of the fucking building with a fish because, you got to make the abuse funny somewhat. Knocks her out merely with the intention to kill her probably. That's the other thing before that I forgot to mention. Before, like, this is real, like, Batman's like, why do you keep doing this for him? Why? And she goes, because I love him. And then Batman reveals, is like, did he tell you all those stories about that abuse? What about, let me guess, was it the story? Because he's done his research on Joker. And he tells the story like when his father took him to the ice skate show, and he never saw his father happy in that moment. She's like, he told me it was the circus. He's told people a lot of different stories, and he brings up a list of all these people. And again, it just shows the Joker's manipulation. And it also harkens back to the original, like, Killing Joke, where you have this whole origin story of the Joker, this tragic origin story, and yet at the very end he says, when it comes to my past, I prefer it to be multiple choice. Again, it could, like this whole origin we just saw could be bullshit. It could not be real either. It's like, we don't know. He's a fucking liar. He's a pathological liar. We can't trust him. And the Joker comes in, he fucking knocks her off the roof, and Batman escapes because of the Joker's vanity. And the episode ends on such a fucking, it almost feels like, okay, she survives and she's back in Arkham, but now she's like, okay, I know what the Joker is. I want to get better now at this point. I saw it now. And then the last shot is her looking at this vase with a bunch of flowers in it that says, I love you, Mr. J. I love you. I hope you get better, Mr. J. And she's like, pudding. And it's like, fuck. It ends on a very dark note, chat. But it's perfect. It's perfect. It doesn't throw its punches. It's like, yeah, no, this is a sick woman who's caught in a really toxic relationship, Stockholm syndrome, and it's not easy. And also, I think maybe the episode was created because you have all these weirdos that are like, oh, I want a relationship like Joker and Harley Quinn. It's like, no, you fucking don't. Look at it. Look at what it is. But yeah, it's the one that has like this really mature storytelling in it. Like all of them do. Like all of them really do. But this one just really stands out to me. And again, it could, like, it's my number one right now, but it could be any of the other ones I just talked about, a little while ago. Check, it could be number one. Like, again, this series, even though these are my top 10, even the others I didn't mention could be a part of your top 10. I'll be like, I totally agree. I could totally see what you're saying, why these are so good. It's such a wonderful such a wonderful show. And again, it's not only Batman, the animated series, it gave birth to the DCAU, and there's so much great content. Like, my favorite DCAU moment's not even in the original animated series. You know, it's in Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, of that flashback scene, which I love so much, which really went even further and even darker into how evil and despicable the Joker can get, and how he just wants to really truly torture a Batman in all the worst ways. So I love it. I absolutely adore it, Chad. So, but what about you guys? You know, these are my top 10 favorite episodes, at least for right now. What about you out there? Do you have a particular favorite moment? What are your top 10 favorite episodes of Batman series? Let me know. Very curious. What about you guys? What are some of your favorite episodes of the show? Or favorite moments in the show? And I hope you like the discussion. The epitome of toxic love. By the time I'm beyond Star Trek, Harley's better. Well, what happens is what it took for her to get better was the Joker dying. That's what it actually took. She's like, well, I don't have him anymore, and she moved on. That's true. I mean, we don't know all the stuff that happened with her, but seemingly, you know, she is in a bit better circumstance. Although her grandchildren are working for the Joker. Funny enough. Oh, her adaptation, the comic, the same. That's right. Also written by Paul Dini. That's true. I've always been a big fan of the great again. That's a great episode where they brought him Adam West, and what's so poignant about that episode too, because it reflects real life. Like Adam West, who played Batman Bruce Wayne for years, he had numerous troubles getting work after that show because everyone saw him as Batman, and they made that the point of the episode, which I thought that was so cool. Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Heart of Ice, excellent. You didn't like Batman, Penguin, Home Alone. I have Batman in my basement. I considered putting Birds of a Feather on my list, which is the Penguin. There's a lot of great villain reform episodes. Like they're all great, and that one's really good because he does try. It's just that, you know, he's screwed over by a lot of people. He realizes he's being manipulated. He's like, oh, then fuck you. I'll do what I want. Like he falls in love. Yeah. But not that one. That's one. If I might do top 10 worst. I could do a top 10 worst list tomorrow, which would be fun. But I want to talk about the positives for tonight. What about the one where he fights the Diddler and beats up the Underdwellers? That might be in my worst of list. The one scene that always sticks out to me in that episode is when he's going after the Diddler or the Underdweller or the Sewer King, as he's called. And at one point, like, he jumps, I don't know, they're fighting the sewers, and he's on this catwalk, and he jumps off. He's like, fuck you, Batman! And all these gators seemingly eat him, but they don't. Oh, it's so funny. Oh, the Two-Face episodes are great. Yeah, both the origin one and his reform episode is quite good as well. And Trial is excellent, and what was the one where he develops a third personality? I forget. That was like the penultimate episode of the series. It was the one that was before Mad Love. Doom? I think it was called Doom. But he becomes the judge, and he's hunting after, like, other villains. That's a good one. Demon's Quest, yeah, which is Demon's Quest Part 2 is going up on my Patreon tomorrow. Video audio commentary. Part 1's up there right now, but Part 2 is going up tomorrow. Yeah, and Batman Trial. Batman Trial is really good. Very good, very good. Blackstar, I sent a whisper earlier with a few guesses I thought were going to... Oh, I want to see what your guesses are. I'm going to look at that in just a second. Casey, I love the Judge episode. The Judge atmosphere where we learned of the third... Yeah, it is. Third personality of Harvey Dent being Two-Face. The Judge had a great person. He did. I like that. That was cool. Ryushi, Batman, Joker, die, Rip Bose the Clown. Yeah, Ripperino. Joker dying and her almost dying too. True. The Mad Hatter with the robot. There's a lot of... I like all the Mad Hatter episodes. There was... Anyone he guest stars, too. When he's not, like, even the main villain. There is... oh, God, I'm trying to remember. Well, there's his origin. There's Perchance to Dream. There's the Worry Men, which is quite good. Which also has Joker in it, too. Character of Annie has actually come back recently on Harley Quinn show. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Also, the episode Feet of Clay, when we first got Clayface introduction, the Perchance to Dream episode of Mad Hatter, Game Ultra where Bruce has his parents and love everything he wanted, but knows it's not real. Yep, yeah, we have a lot of the same ones. But one episode I love that doesn't get talked about is the one where Bruce loses his memory, and he's made a slave by this fat Mexican. And how has the bat? Yes, yeah. Oh God, what's that episode called? Shit, it's the one that's like it's Cool Hand Luke. That's what the episode is, Shad. It's Cool Hand Luke. I know what you're talking about. I don't know if he was a Mexican. But he's like a cannibal. He's a cannibal in that episode, Chad. It's implied that he eats people. It's really fucked up. I know what you're talking about. All it's because of the Joker. Used to drive my parents crazy because I kept singing the Joker. Oh, yeah, the Joker. Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost a wheel, and the Joker got away. Oh, yeah, great. The Joker's favorite, the fat guy. He does have like a tuba following him. Yeah, that's right. Charlie Collins. It's been so long. As also the debut of Harley Quinn. The episode I really liked was the one with Rachel Gould and the whole Heir to the Demon storyline. Yes. And also recently I saw the Creeper episode and I enjoyed the watch. Yeah, the Creeper and Jack Reddick. I love that too. And the anti-hero Joker. Yeah, he shows up again in Justice League Unlimited. He doesn't have any lines, but he's there. Another one, the one where Joker pretty much a bunch of comedians. All the Joker episodes are great. Like, there's not a bad Boss Hargus. I am Yellow Skin Wacky Man. I like the episode where Bullock's landlord tries to kill him because he's such a slob. There's that one. Was that a bullet for Bullock? Is that what it was called? He is a slob, though. Okay, but just like a crazy creeper stalker just harassing her. Yeah, he is harassing her. Oh, my Lord. I think he represented the fan base. The Underdweller scene made me laugh because Batman thinks he died and says, a gruesome death for a gruesome man. You just hear this crazy laughter. He just gets out. He's just like, I survived. My babies, they love me. He did train those gators since they were babies. I love the cameo they put of Creeper, and good to see him work with the League. That is good. I'm happy for him. He's like, uh-oh, because when he takes that patch off, he's like, oh, he's going to go crazy now, but he became a hero. Oh. Intro of Batgirl and that robot. Oh, the robot lady. I love that. Oh, Heart of Steel Part 1 and Part 2 of Hardak is great. Very good. And the sequel one where they have the robot when he comes back. The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, the doofiest version. I don't think he was doofy. It's funny. Hugo Strange, he's only used once in Batman animated series. He does come back in Justice League. And in Justice League Unlimited, he works for Amanda Waller now. And it's speculated. I forget who said. I don't know if it was Dwayne McDuffie or Bruce Timm, but they said that Hugo Strange was the one that informed Amanda Waller of who Batman was, that he was Bruce Wayne. So I was like, connecting it all, which is I think really, really cool. Really, really cool. What's your favorite Superman animated series? Oh, Dylan Murray, I got to think about that. That is for the 30th anniversary of the Superman the Animated Series. Oh, Lockup. I like a lot. Yeah, he's the extreme vigilante. I remember Lockup. I like Lockup. And any of the Batman crossovers. Oh, there's a lot of the world's finest chat. Like, that's definitely like up there for some of my favorite Superman animated series episodes. World's Finest Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, which I'll just say is one episode. It's basically really as a movie too, like an hour and 15-minute movie. Really good. Really loved World's Finest chat. Yeah, I gotta think about the other ones though. Oh. Was the Creeper is based on the fantasy Creeper? I don't think so. A great Batman episode that wasn't animated was Superman episode Nighttime. Yeah, focus on Tim Drake. I love that one. Yeah, the one where Bruce Wayne is kidnapped by Brainiac and Clark has to pretend to be Batman so they can find out what happened to Bruce, and you learn that, Brainiac kidnapped him. And he's using Wayne Tech to build himself like another body or something, if I recall. Al, good to have you here. And you finished following her? Nice. Great game, man. Great Soulsborne-like game, in my opinion. Good gateway. I'll tell you one is prototype. See, I gotta definitely. I'm more familiar with Batman. I mean, I love Superman animated series, but I'm more familiar with Batman, so I don't remember like all the episode names, what happens in those episodes. As a kid, just seeing the Joker Superman show was shocking. It was like the biggest. It was like, oh my fucking god! It was chat like just to like turn the clocks back, you know. Seeing the Joker and Batman in Superman the animated series. This is before you had Justice League, any of this crossover shit. But seeing that was the equivalent of like the Avengers movie. They're all together? What? It was so exciting. You couldn't believe it. It was like, oh, shit, that was the 90s, baby. That was my 90s childhood right there. I remember that was when they debuted that. It was like, oh. And I was very little, too. And so I was so fucking excited. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah. No, anyone, have a great evening. Thank you so much. Love the series so much. I love when you do come back. Thank you. Really brings back. Yeah, that's what I try to do. No, thank you so much, Homan. It's fun. Like I loved the discussion that we did on 8-Bit Crumbs with Patrick and Andrew. I think we did like basically an hour-long conversation about Batman series in the DCAU. That was so much fun. I just realized like, today was like, now it is officially the 30th anniversary, so let's go ahead and actually jump into these episodes and let's talk about my 10 of my favorites. Which again, this could change given the day, chat, but yeah, Mad Love for me is probably my favorite at this moment. But again, and all these episodes are fantastic. I thought Freakazoid was inspired by The Freaker, but it got turned into more. I like Freakazoid. Mainly, that's why BVS was so bad for me, 100%. The animated shows understood those characters and how glorious it was to see them get... yes, you nailed it, Langley. When I compare Bruce Timm's World's Finest, that 3-part episode crossover, basically that movie, it's about an hour, 15-minute movie, to like, the like Zack Snyder's BVS, Dawn of Justice, like the quality is just vast between them. It's like what I really appreciate about Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and Dwayne McDuffie and all the people that worked on these various shows, and they deserve all the credit, all those writers, is that they understood all these characters very well, very, very well. And they did their own things with them. They definitely incorporated new elements, there's no doubt, but they made sure to make them different from each other. Where when you have Batman and Superman, they're not both fucking glum and morbid and psychotic. Like, no, they have widely different personalities, but when they're going off against each other, it's really cool. And also, like, the whole idea of the Batman v Superman fight. I love how they handled the fight between Batman and Superman in World's Finest, because it's very cool. It showcases just the skills of the characters, where it's when Batman goes to that club in Metropolis, and he's dealing with all those gangsters. He's being very rough with them. And Superman's like, all right, I think they've had enough. And Batman grabs Superman's arm and throws him. And Superman just didn't expect it. He's like, oh, shit. He just didn't, because he's like, I don't want to hurt anybody. And he goes, that's enough. And he throws him. And he's like, what the hell? He can't believe it. And then Batman's like, yeah, Batman's just fucking smelling himself, feeling himself. And Superman goes, boop, and just hits Batman so fucking hard he flies across the room. That's the fight. That's how it is. It's like, there you go. They both had their big fucking moment. They both got up, one up on each other. And now let's move on and have them work together. Because listen, yeah, everyone thinks of, and I love The Dark Knight Returns. I think it's a great book. But before Frank Miller went fucking nuts, it's great. It's really cool. But I don't want that version of Batman Superman, that relationship, to be the relationship in a series of films. In the DC Cinematic Universe, I don't want them to be enemies. I just don't like that. They are friends. They're very different from each other, chap. But that's what makes it their relationship so rich and fun to watch, when they can have that back and forth in World's Finest, or the other episodes where they guest star in each other's shows, or eventually when we get to Justice League. It's like, yes, that's what I want. Like, and to this day, I don't know, and I think it's just because Warner Brothers and Warner Bros. Discovery, they're certainly dismissive of animation now, but I'm like, why aren't you looking at those people, or getting some of the people involved who built one of those shared universe to help you with your cinematic live action universe? Like, I don't get it. Look at what they did. And I think it's just, it's animation, it's kid stuff, and they're super dismissive. I'm like, fuck you. That's not fair. That's really shitty to me. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's very frustrating. But I love this show, and I always love to bring it up, Chad. And I love this universe that they created, and because it is better. This is infinitely better. Infinitely better than anything, and I'll say this, anything that the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, whatever the hell it is, this is better than anything that they've made. And even some of the movies I've liked, like Shazam and Wonder Woman and stuff. It's like, this is better. 100% better. So, any case. No, we talked about that. Over the Edge. We talked about Valkyrie. Yeah, Over the Edge. That was my third favorite. Right here. Excellent episode. And I talked about how, yes, it's one of those, like, it's a dream episode, but what's so cool about it is, the thing that makes it, like, really scary is that, wow, it just shows you how old this is, constantly teeing over the edge, how this can go wrong very quickly with Batman and his various wards and partners, and how they fight crime, and his relationships with all these people, and how they could be destroyed if something really bad happens. Even the smallest thing. And that's why I love about this episode so much. And Barbara's like, oh, fuck, and it's not outright, but it's heavily implied that Barbara tells her father that I'm Batgirl at the end of that episode, which she should. He's going to have a goddamn heart attack. I wager this show. I'm willing to wager this show is up there against the best superhero show. No, 100%. No, 100%. I put it up against yeah, absolutely. Just in terms of adaptations, most certainly, of course. Yeah, the one where Robin saves the girl and he's straight. Yep. The one with growing pains. Right here. I love that. That one gets me. That one's like, oh my god. Much knowing what happens to Tim too. Later in the show. That's the one thing I want to end on, chat. That's one of the last things I want to end on with this discussion is because when I think of a lot of Batman adaptations, inevitably they all end relatively positively for Batman, for Bruce Wayne. He goes through all these things, but he eventually gets everything. He gets what he wants. Whether it be the Dark Knight trilogy, like, hey, he goes to Italy with Anne Hathaway somehow. Yay. But what I really respected about this show, and I guess it surprised me, is that it probably showcased the most realistic way in which this would all end up being, which is a very lonely and bitter and cold Bruce Wayne. By the time we get to Batman Beyond, Bruce has lost everything. Alfred is obviously dead. Most of his villains are dead or incarcerated. He's completely estranged from Dick Grayson. They haven't spoken in about 20 years. His relationship with Barbara is not great. We know what happened with Tim, thanks to Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, and he's estranged with him. And he's just living alone. And he has fucking nothing. He has no family. He's a recluse. And it's like, but when you really think about it, it's like, and he's rescinded. He clearly has no relationship with the Justice League at this point. And he rescinded his membership. But this is probably what would happen after everything he's gone through. It's like he would eventually just be an old, angry, bitter man. And it's sad, but at the same time, like, God, I fucking respect the hell out of that. And he gets a little light into his life when he meets this boy, this Terry McGinnis, this delinquent, but who has potential, and he becomes a new Batman. And he gets a little bit of that passion. He has something to care about again, which I really loved. And repairs his relationship with Barbara and eventually with Tim. We never know what happened with Dick. If they ever did repair it. At this point, I would doubt it. But I liked how they did that. That was very brave of them. So, any case, great show, great animated universe, chat. This will not be the last time that I talk about it. I'll definitely be talking about more episodes in the future. Maybe I'll do my worst stuff list. That'd be fun. But I want to talk about the best stuff, chat, because I love this series so much. Man Beyond is fire. I got to do when's the 20th anniversary of Batman Beyond? Now, I think it already happened. No, I think it already happened, Chad. 2019. Damn it. I gotta do my top 10 episodes of Batman Beyond. I think maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Dick live happy ever. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened to Dick. They established in Return of the Joker that he moved to Bloodhaven at one point, but him and Bruce just haven't talked to each other. Yeah, I don't know. Batman was willing to go behind the League's back, step away from the League to set up the Outsiders while also doing Batman Incorporated. Oh, like in the comics. Sure. Yeah. Oh, the Batman Beyond tune. Oh, it's oh yeah. I love that because you infamously, Warner Brothers like, all right, we're done. We don't want you to do the Batman made series anymore. They're like, stop it. And like Superman things, and we want you to do it's funny. They want you to do a more kid-centric Batman. We want it to be a kid as Batman. And Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and everyone else went, okay, we'll do that. And they came up with Batman Beyond, and it's probably even darker than anything else they've ever made. It is dark. Like, that show is really fucking dark. I'm like, this is kind of disturbing. There's some shit I'm like, I don't think I should be watching this. They kill. The other thing is, they kill a lot of people in Batman Beyond, in Batman and in the animated series and Superman. They kill a lot of fucking people in Batman Beyond. I like it. Probably like every episode is like someone dies. It's like, wow. That was pretty cool. Yeah. More kids. I want to see Batman Beyond come. I wanted to. I wish they would. Like, if let me end it on this note. What would I think be? But I doubt it'll definitely won't happen now because Warner Brothers Discovery basically are going fuck you to animators and animation in general. Like they're gonna have a Batman cartoon that's not on a Warner Brothers service. Okay. What I would love to do is basically greenlight new seasons of these shows. Like, I want to do sequel series of these shows. I want to do another season of Batman animated series. Like, let's pick up after the events of like the third season, and where it's a little like maybe like Bruce is maybe a little bit older, for the most part. But then Barbara and Tim are the same age, so we're not contradicting things that happen in like Return of the Joker. But then do more seasons like that, and then you can also do new stories, but also you can adapt 20 years of Batman material that we've gotten over 25 years, close to 25 years now, to have Batman material. Let's see the Court of Owls. You could even do in between seasons. Let's do one where you can do it where Batman, because one of the things, I was talking about this with Patrick on Double Toasted. One of Patrick's criticisms, and I agree with him, is that something happens to Bruce in between Batman season 2 and season 3, where in season 3, Batman season 2, season 1, yes, he's definitely, he's brooding, and, he's dark when he needs to be, but there's still warmth in him. Like, he still has a very good relationship with Barbara and with Alfred and with Dick. But something happens, and in season 3, he is very cold. And I'm like, what happened there? What happened in between that season? And if I had, that's what I would do. If I had to I would greenlight a season that took place in between season 2 and season 3. And I would do Jason Todd. I would have it be Jason Todd. And that was the big thing that made him so cold. Because the Joker murders him. You can do all those other episodes you want, but that's what you need to do. I feel like to set him up is the way he is. And then you could be like, well, that contradicts things because every time they reference Robin, it's like the old Robin, it was Dick. Well, what if he's like, I just don't even want anyone to know about that. Like, you could do that. You can make it work. You can make it work. Like, you can have that whole thing where that season culminates in the death of Jason Todd at the hands of Joker. You can bring back Mark Hamill and all that shit. Be perfect. And then the next season would be after the true season 3, where we got in the 90s, like all the things I've been talking about, and then Jason comes back as Red Hood. That's what I would do. And he's like a recurring threat throughout that season along with all the other villains, right? That's what I would do. And then I would also do Batman Beyond and Superman, all that shit. I would also greenlight a Wonder Woman show. I would do a Wonder Woman animated series, bring back the original actress who did Wonder Woman, and have it where she's dealing with all the mythological elements from her world interacting with our own. Do that because Wonder Woman's more popular than ever now. Do Green Lantern. And then you can bring back Phil Lamar as John Stewart and have it be fucking space cops. Do space cops in space. That's what I would fucking do. But Warner Brothers clearly, I'm telling you right now, they clearly are not going to do that because they are gutting animation. They're dismissive of it. They do not give a shit. And that makes me very, very sad. So anyway, I feel like they wouldn't do that now because I don't know. I already told you they're not going to do that. They don't want to do that. Yes, thank you, Thidar. Tried to do J-Style in the comic recently, but the art was so subpar for me. Yeah, I mean you can fix anything. Do that now. Thank you, Luke Boss. You say don't do that now. Yeah, well, that's what I want. Hi, Summer baby. Welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. Someone ate Batman's last box of Teddy Grahams, and he. It would be the reason he gets cold. I don't want that to be. Rockabird, Juicy. That deal with PTSD just taught us a really great way to Batman Wayne family. Oh, shit. Ooh. I'm going to check this out. I'm going to look into this. Ooh. I like it. He's got a little white. He's got a little white. Oh, it's the crowbar. Oh, no. Oh, shit. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to look into this. Thank you. So, is this a fan comic? This is like a fan cover. I'm going to definitely look into that in the future. Thank you so much. I saw the crowbar, chat. Crowbar is definitely Jason's trigger. For the Joker isn't just good. It isn't just dark. It's borderline not for kids. No, it's not for children. It really isn't. But I mean the fact that they toe that line and managed to make it work for kids and not be too scary. It's really tasteful. It's horrifying, but the kids just see what they see. They don't see blood. Yeah, there is some blood in it, though. There's a little bit of blood, but not that. But the thing is, it's not about the blood. The blood is not what makes it scary. It's what's being implied. They do that very well. The Valley of Animation makes you depressed. Me too, Edgy. Me too. How would you make the Batman Beyond suit in live action? He's basically in a skin tight pantsuit and tech cartoon. I thought I'll tell you the way in which the Batman arc. Even though I'm not a big fan of the game, Batman Arkham Knight has a Batman Beyond suit. I'm like that one. That's the way you would make it look like. It'd be slightly Iron Man-esque. Not too Iron Man-esque, but it'd be slightly Iron Man-esque. Like the way that was a nice middle ground in between Iron Man and the classic Batman suit. And I was like, okay, that's how you had to do it. Because you couldn't have it be skin tight. Because that is the skin tight stuff is the animation style of Bruce Timm and his people. You know, but yeah, for live action, they'd have to change it. Which I wouldn't mind that. I'm not opposed. No, it's authorized. Oh, it is? Oh, cool. Oh, look at that. Bam Beyond. The guy who could phase through anything ends up phasing through. Oh, that fucking guy. Planet that he falls to the planet score. He definitely. Oh, burned. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that guy dies. It's dark. It's really dark. I'm gonna check it out. Rocket Buddy. Thank you. Thank you for sending it my way. Oh, Chris, want me to whisper you the link to that Harley Quinn tie-in cover that features Annie? Yes, please. Make sure. Oh no, I think you get what I mean exactly. It's not like they showed on. Yeah, exactly. No, it's implications. What's implied? It's what's implied. But yeah, chap. Again, I thought this was an excellent conversation about Batman. What was that? Oh shit! Oh no! Did I turn off? Forget to turn off my. I forgot to turn off some shit. No! Hold on. Did I forget to turn off the?
Stop eating my sesame.
DT, shut up, DT! Shut the fuck up! I think DT is on. Oh, I forgot to turn that off. There we go. Maybe some subs coming on DT side. But in any case, chap. That's I just want to wrapping up this conversation about Batman series. It's great. Check it out. We should get sequel seasons. You heard what I would like to do, chat. Yeah. Ending on that note right there. To cheers and salute, Chad, to one of the greatest animated shows and animated universes ever created. May the wings of living as a feather, your shaking pillows heaven as we speak. Cheers and salute.